Well, everybody, welcome back to Contractor Corner. We've got a very special guest with us today, Gregg Towsley, who's going to talk with us a little bit about 7 hacks for getting customer reviews. Gregg's been in the industry for a long time. He heads up a company called Plumbing. He's really a marketing guru for all things around plumbing, been featured on a number of industry publications. And then, I think, Gregg, if I'm not mistaken, you've worked with hundreds of clients over the years. Yeah.
Hundreds. Yes.
That's amazing, man. Well, all right. I want to hear more about you and give the intro, but I've got to know, movie theaters are opening back up. There's been a lot of buzz around Godzilla versus King Kong. Who you got in the matchup?
King Kong. You got to go King Kong.
Godzilla's got like nuclear laser beams or something. He's like some giant animal. King Kong. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but when I was 7, I had the poster of King Kong in my bedroom above my bed.
All right. Loyalty. Kong. That's it. You got faith in the champ.
Well, it's just embedded somewhere in my crazy brain.
All right, fair enough, man. Well, now that we know that you're on the King Kong side of the thing, we'll have to watch the movie to see who wins. But tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Where are you from? What's the experience? How'd you get into kind of working specifically with plumbers?
So, Tom, thanks for having me. A little bit on my story. Grew up on the East Coast, specifically the Boston area, and now reside for the last about 15 years with my wife and my family in Los Angeles. Sunny Los Angeles, 70 and sunny every single day. So we really, really enjoy it. And got involved with marketing around 2007, 2008. And over the years, worked with quite a few clients and just wanted to get really good at one thing. So we've specialized with working in home services and getting even more specific, working with plumbing and HVAC companies. And it's been a wild ride following the internet, mobile, and where we are today.
Sure. And do you, when you're working within those specific verticals, is there kind of like a threshold that you prefer to work in terms of the company size?
Yeah, we definitely have our sweet spot. I started our agency, Grow Plumbing, back in 2012, and we continue to refine our sweet spot. But as it pertains to our niche, the plumbing and HVAC, it's really companies that are on the launch pad, ready for some serious growth. So it's companies that are doing revenue anywhere between 1 million on the low end to about 2 to 3 million. That's where those companies hit that point where they're struggling a little bit. And I call it the launch pad. And that's where they can, we work with companies across the United States. And that's really that point where when we come in, we can just take them to the stratosphere.
That's awesome. Cool. All right. So they got a healthy little business going, but y'all just really help them take it to that next level.
Yes, definitely.
You might say out of this world from the launch pad.
Yeah.
No, I had to get a dad joke in there, man. Come on. All right. Well, y'all, we're going to kick things off. We've got 30 minutes to kind of talk about all the practical things that we can hopefully help y'all implement from a standpoint after watching the video. We're going to talk through the best ways to get reviews and really how to optimize those pieces. And you and I generally wear that sales and marketing hat. Not everybody that may be watching this is going to be a marketer. As you mentioned, they're in that kind of 1 to 2.5 million range, maybe more, maybe less. And so we'll kind of talk through what they can do as that local business owner to make sure that they are growing those reviews. Obviously at Signpost, that's our sweet spot. You're an expert in the field. So I'm kind of curious, you do all things marketing services. Why do you focus on reviews?
Because they're number one. And it's the hardest aspect of our marketing campaigns that we run. And I'm a huge fan of the 80-20 rule, which are what are 20% of the activities that we can do that can yield 80% of the results. And that pertains to your dieting, that pertains to your workouts, that pertains to your driving, you know what I mean? So what, can we do 20% of the time they're going to yield 80% of the results? And the number one thing that falls in that category are online reviews. And we can get into a little bit more about, the best form of marketing, which is word of mouth marketing. But, your question was, why reviews? Is because it's the number one thing that will impact the campaigns from a positive standpoint.
All right, right on, man. And so, like, is there science to it? Like, how are we getting people to kind of get into focusing on the reviews outside of maybe some of those other marketing efforts like SEO or whatever those may be? Like, when you're working with a client, like, what do they need to be doing in terms of like a foundation?
So I'm glad, Tom, I'm glad you asked that question because it is a foundation and there's not really too much of a science to it. It's just a grind and hustle. And we talked about, why it's the number one thing that's most important. But where we found the most success is where companies developed online reviews as a KPI, which is called a key performance indicator. And it all starts with, almost changing the culture within the company to getting everyone from the CEO, the senior level management, operations, all the way down to CSRs, customer service reps who answer the phone. And it's that culture and it's that emphasis that, hey guys, if we create this word of mouth marketing, we're not going to have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars with Google and Facebook and Instagram and all these other platforms. Our business will grow organically and getting the best amount of quality leads in. So the foundation is key, and it really starts with culture being number one. And then we can obviously go down the list from there.
Got it. So, you're talking about word of mouth and you're talking obviously about online reviews here. So is it pretty safe to say that kind of the state of the union is that word of mouth referrals is really moving online?
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit. And, back before the internet, before mobile, or I guess it's safe to say that word of mouth is the best form of marketing.
Yeah, totally.
You can take ads out in the yellow pages, but just think about it, like Tom, in your day to day with your family, and thinking about like, hey, getting together with friends. I like to talk about this because it's maybe post COVID or pre COVID, or we're getting through some of that right now. But hey, let's go to a restaurant. Let's get together. You're going to make that selection based upon word of mouth marketing. So when you go out there and you do a great job for a customer, whether you're a restaurant or a plumbing company or HVAC or pest control, whatever it might be, people, the first place that people are going to go when they make a selection is they're going to go to their family first, their mom and dad. They're going to go to their friends, and then they're going to go to the internet. So the more you can build that word of mouth marketing, and it's done specifically through customer reviews, the more you're going to get good quality customers and good quality leads coming in at the right price.
Right.
Which is the key.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I grew up in a landscaping family and my dad never advertised, and it was all literally just peer to peer. If I do a great job, they'll tell their friends and family. And to your point, I still ask friends for recommendation, but I'm going online to Google the business just to double check that everything checks out with those online reviews. So that's good to know. Yeah. So we're taking that classical marketing, we're moving it online. So let's kind of,
Tom, let me just throw in one more point. The other aspect of online reviews is that now we have everything right here at our fingertips. So someone may be like, oh, you got to go check out this landscaping company. Or unfortunately I had the plumbers out last week. Well, when you have somebody coming to your house, i.e. home services for any type of service, you want to validate that it's a respectable, trustworthy company that's not going to scam you. Unfortunately, home services sometimes gets a little bit of a bad rap, but now we have the ability to talk to our phones, go to our computer. I think most families have at least 4 or 5 devices that they could do a quick search, be like, okay, I feel comfortable having, this company's truck in my driveway. So that's the other aspect, is now we can verify and validate that we're not going to get ripped off, because at the end of the day, everybody's concerned about getting ripped off or going to a restaurant, having a bad meal or whatever it might be.
Right.
Landscaper comes over and they trim all bushes in front of the house, the neighbors are all laughing at you.
Yeah. No, nobody wants to be laughed at by the neighbors. That yard is a point of pride for sure. Well, so I'm curious, you're providing a lot of services. Obviously, we're here to talk about the importance of grabbing some reviews and best ways to get them. Before you kind of start working with your clients on the importance of reviews, what are some of those big challenges that they're seeing kind of on their day to day?
You mean before they jump into, adopting a review culture?
Yeah, like as you're coming in and talking with your clients initially with that kind of first consult call, what are those kind of general problems that they're seeing? Is it all on a cultural basis, or is it things can kind of all be all over the place, or what are you generally seeing there?
Well, the typical phone call that I get is that a lot of my clients within the home services, the plumbing companies, especially that ones that fit that perfect criteria,
Sure.
is they're tired of spending money on ads.
Yeah.
And they get solicitation calls, sometimes 20 to 30 solicitation calls or emails from marketing companies, and they're just tired of spending money on Google and Facebook and YouTube, and they're stuck. They don't know what is going to take them to the next level. So that's where we've been able to add a lot of value in not only cleaning things up from their marketing perspective and their campaigns, but ultimately getting them more quality leads, more customers with spending less money. So that's what we're able to do when we work with a new client. And online reviews is one component, probably fits within that 20% that's going
Yeah.
to yield 80% of the quality leads and the culture that we're looking to build.
Right on. So you mentioned a moment ago, you got to get that company culture to a right place. To your point of spending 20% on this to drive that 80% of growth from it, or see that big payoff. That means we've got to have some processes in place. You mentioned some KPIs. So are we measuring this? I'm kind of curious. We're here to talk about 7 hacks. I'd love to jump into them. So you'll see here on the screen, we've got 7 hacks for getting customer reviews. We're going to start off first talking about that organic method. What does that look like for you? These companies that maybe have been doing word of mouth offline, how are you helping them move that stuff online? What are those basics they need to have in place?
So Tom, let's run through some of them, and then we can get more specific.
Sure.
But number one is selecting the right tool for the job. So as it pertains to online reviews, let me take a step back. So as we walk into a typical company, they understand the importance of online reviews. They understand the importance of having a website. They understand the importance of social media. They just don't have the process or the right team in place to execute upon that.
Yeah.
So obviously we tackle the most important things first, which is that 80-20 rule. And then second, as it pertains to online reviews and really getting them to double and triple and quadruple, is to stress the importance that it's the number one thing that's going to get you more leads and more quality customers. So the number one is to have the right tools and the right process in place. And then from there is getting the company buy-in and also getting the training associated with the tools. Now, the tool isn't the end all be all. It's
right.
The utilization of the tool, and it's the integration of the tool into not only the website, not only into the invoicing for the customer, not only into QR codes, which we'll touch on, not only into all the mobile devices that these guys are running around with in their hands and their
Right.
iPads. So it's really starts, I would say number one is get the right tool in place. It's just like if you're going to go out and build a house or do a plumbing project, you're not going to go in there with your bare hands. You're
Right.
going to need
Yeah.
the right tool for the right job. And then
Sure.
it's actually utilizing that and knowing how to utilize that. And where we come in is we'll integrate it into pretty much all aspects of the company.
Right on. That's awesome, man. So let's say like we've got all of our tools in place. We've got something selected. How do we start kind of encouraging people to promote some of these kind of outlines that you've given us, right? You've got number one listed here as this organic method. Is that just the fundamentals of making sure that the website's set up correctly? They've got the Google My Business page. Do they need to be on other sites? When we were catching up before, you mentioned a place called World's Best Plumbing Directory. What are those kind of fundamentals for folks that they need to have in place there?
So organic method is number one.
Right.
And we'll get into some of the other ones, which is my favorite, which is spiffing the guys, because money talks,
Yeah.
and money is the ultimate motivator, at least from what we've seen with a lot of our clients.
Sure.
But let's talk about the organic method. And I think number one is making it a KPI, a key performance indicator. It's
Yep.
very easy to measure how many reviews you have on a monthly basis.
Got it.
And reviews, you want to be diversified. So obviously you want to have your Google local business called Google My Business. You want to have reviews there. There's Yelp, and there's Angie's List and Home Advisor and the Better Business Bureau. So
Sure.
take your top 5 sites. We're not going crazy and trying to boil the ocean here, but get your top 5 sites, and then just keep track of how many reviews you get on a monthly basis. And you can even go back in history and see how many you've had. And obviously a tool will help you out with that, but you can just go manually to each and every site. So that's number one, is make it a KPI. Number two is make sure that it's advertised in all of your marketing materials, whether it be your business cards. If you're a 4-star company or a 5-star company, make sure you emphasize that, getting it onto your website.
Yeah.
Or also organically, when you start to get good at getting online reviews, is share it across social media. Enable that word of mouth marketing. Post a good customer review onto your Twitter page, your LinkedIn page, your Instagram page, Facebook. Get it out there.
Yeah. I like that. I think what I'm realizing too is that I haven't seen many businesses actually, take a picture of that review and put it on Instagram, things like that. It's a great tip.
Yeah.
So we're talking about taking those reviews and kind of putting them in that online space like that. Do you find that people will actually end up kind of calling people and asking for reviews once the job's done? Are people still doing outreach like that? Or is it all pretty much kind of online, like organic like that?
I think it's super important to do outreach for online reviews. Now, Yelp has a pretty strict policy where they don't want you to solicit reviews.
Right.
And guess what? Everybody is doing it, and it is strongly encouraged. So with a lot of the cool tools out there that are in the marketplace, they have a mobile app, which allows the technician, when he's in front of the customer, to ask them for a review, and the technician will have the ability through the tool's mobile app. And I'm sure Signpost does this, whereas you can just click a link and then send that to the customer's cell phone. They click it, and then automatically brings them to a Google page that just shows 5 stars, and then they can just click on it, make it super easy for them. And the phone call, the CSRs can also, we work a lot with the customer service reps when that phone call comes in to work on your conversion rate.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when it comes to online reviews, we found that the earlier that you set the seed in the process,
got it,
the more likely you are to get that fulfillment. And I can talk percentages and get into a lot of the data and stuff like that. But if you're showing up at somebody's house, or that CSR is be like, hey, Steve is going to be there between 2 and 4. And guess what? If he does a great job, he's probably going to ask you for a review. And if you follow through on that, there's a bunch of incentive. I'm just giving you the heads up, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that Steve's going to be there. He's going to do a great job. He's going to ask for a review. Then Steve shows up, he asks for a review. So obviously integrating that into the entire sales, business development, customer service process is going to yield a great return. So I think you asked about phone calls. Yeah, picking up the phone and just integrating that into scripts. And proactively encouraging reviews.
Yeah. And so really that goes back to what you mentioned earlier, right? It's that corporate culture, making sure that reviews is part of that process, making sure that it is top of mind for people instead of an afterthought of, oh goodness, I need to grow my online reviews there.
Definitely.
Love it, man. And so, if folks aren't using, say, like a tool, you mentioned Signpost, right? The mobile app, to be able to kind of text to ask for that prompt review. Do you see that individualized outreach through like personal email is successful, or is there kind of one of the phone call or the personal email outreach that maybe does better than the other?
Yeah, and it's just like all things marketing
Yeah.
is testing.
Right.
Putting message out there and seeing what works. And we do know that keeping it short and concise and to
Yeah.
the point. Anytime you can boil 6 words down into 3 words to get that on online review,
Yeah.
less is always more. But yeah, follow up via email, via text. What's interesting is a lot of these companies are realizing now is that when they look at their phone report on how many calls that business generated yesterday,
Yeah.
I would say roughly 90 to 95% of those calls came in via a cell phone. So
Right.
then that opens up the opportunity to text customers back. And when I say text, and don't send them spam, but make sure that they had a good experience with your company.
Sure.
And if they did, to share that. So yeah, email, text, phone, obviously in person. You can catch the theme here with these 7 tips is that they all have to do with interacting with the customer in a positive manner.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it ultimately, to your point earlier on the call, it all comes down to that customer service experience, right? Did you have a great time? Did it meet and exceed expectations? If so, people are going to be willing to talk about it. We've got a couple other items on the list here to chat about. I'm actually really excited to talk about postcards and actually kind of like truck wrapping. I think offline marketing is really cool. I think it's coming back. Would love to understand, how have you kind of been talking about QR codes or postcards with your clients? How do you kind of convince them that like maybe offline's the better way to go here?
Yeah, it's funny that we're talking about QR codes because I poo-pooed all over QR codes so
Oh
many
yeah.
times before in the past, and
Yeah.
I don't know how many marketing meetings that I've been in. I would say thousands, and you're sitting at the table, and everyone's going around. And this was probably back 2-3 years ago, and people are like, oh, let's put a big QR code on the truck, or let's put it
Yeah.
onto our marketing or our invoice. And then I'd always have to raise a question, be like, all right, let's just take a quick survey. Out of all the people in this room, how many people have ever scanned a QR code?
Yeah. Yeah.
And people are like, I wouldn't even know how to. Well,
Yeah.
why are we
Exactly.
talking about doing it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now, fast forward, since COVID, everybody is very familiar with QR codes
Yeah.
because you go to a restaurant, the menu is a QR code. And the cell phone companies have updated. I'm a Pixel Google user,
Yeah.
and QR codes are like so simple.
Yeah.
Even for our kids to get into their school, we have a QR code which has us fill out a little survey. So they're everywhere now. So now, rather than poo-pooing all over QR codes,
Yeah.
we're waving the flag,
Yeah.
and they should be everywhere. Let's get them on the truck. My
Yeah.
favorite is let's get them on the shirt right here, the
What?
QR code. And what's cool about the QR code now is from a marketer standpoint, it's gold
Yeah.
because we control that little square. Obviously, you can do a lot with that little square,
Yeah.
but we can control the destination URL of that. So if we want to send them to Google for that review, we can do that. If we want to send them to Yelp, we can do that. We can send
Yeah.
them to a page on our website. We can send them to a video. We can send customer profiles. So all in on QR codes, even getting them on the truck, which there's so many different use cases for that.
Yeah.
Postcards, where are my postcards here? Getting them onto the postcards here,
Yeah.
getting them onto the invoice, getting them on the business cards, just making it super easy for the technician, the field service workers to just say, hey, I'm not even going to send you a link. Just pull out your phone and your
Yeah.
camera and
Yeah. Scan it real quick.
oh,
So that's so cool. Cause like, as you're talking about this ability to control the destination. So you're thinking we're sending postcards to prospective clients. Great. We're going to route them to the website for a quote or something like that. And then if we're sending postcards after the job, we can route that QR code to leave a review on a Google site or a Facebook or whatever your dedicated page is. And that really, it's all about the strategy of, where are we going to put this out in the wild and what's the outcome we want to drive, right?
yeah, my new pitch is for the technicians for the shirts, and they have the logo on there and everything,
Yeah.
is just put the customer review link for Google right there on the back, right there. So they can just turn around and the customer can just pull out their
Oh
phone,
my goodness.
zoom it right in.
Okay.
And so that also works into the company culture, because now they're going to know that they're wearing this thing on their back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
All right. Well, we will follow up with you in a couple months to see how the t-shirt QR code is driving results for that. Cause I've got to wonder if it gets dirty, does it impact it or whatnot. So we'll follow up with you after that to understand the impact there.
Awesome.
We're talking a moment ago about kind of this truck wrapping piece. We work with a group called WrapMate that's based out of the US, doing a lot of work. They're obviously leveraging some QR codes on their trucks. For those of y'all that are watching at home, we're going to show a couple images on the screen where you can see a few examples of what they look like. But exactly to what Gregg's talking about here is this ability to drive people, to a particular destination. And so what I'm wondering, Gregg, is, how do you choose that one site for a QR code? If we're going to do a truck wrap, are we driving it to the inquiry? If we're going to do the t-shirt QR code, how do we know what's the most effective place to go?
Tom, that's an easy answer. It's Google.
Yeah. Okay.
Your reviews on Google have hands down, no argument, the best impact for your business.
Yeah.
Secondly would probably be Yelp and the Better Business Bureau, and then the list scales down from there. But if you do a branded search, which would be a company-based search, so a branded search would be, if I just type in, Signpost, on the right-hand side, you're going to see that Google card. The Google reviews impact Google Maps, which is Google My Business.
Yeah.
Google has Google Local Services, which are Google Guarantee, which are heavily based upon review. And Google is really smart, knowing that when a review comes into your business, they know if it's on a mobile or desktop, they know what the IP address is, they know the location. So reviews are very hard to cheat. So therefore, those Google reviews and getting those Google reviews and controlling that destination and making it super simple for the customer to get to that exact URL, that page, which Signpost does an amazing job of. When you share that link or that QR code or any of that digital aspect of the review, it brings them right to that page, which pops up on Google. And it says, in your opinion, you're allowed to do 1 star through 5 star, and then hopefully you're getting those 5-star reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I've learned since I've started working at this company, reviews and how that really impacts your local search rank, is that I never realized that when you were to search, say, best plumber in Denver, which is where I'm based, they'll automatically remove anybody with less than a 4-star average. So it is really, really important that you are driving those reviews. And like you said, taking away the friction points, making it easy for folks to leave those reviews, and really, really making sure that customer service experience comes through so they do leave that 5-star review for you.
And then just think about it, Tom, quickly from Google's perspective. When you do a search, Google wants to create the best user experience and steer you in the right direction. So therefore, you're going to continue to use Google, and Google knows that you're searching for a plumber near you, or any other type of home services regarding, roofing or pest control. And Google wants to deliver you a good company. They don't want you to get ripped off.
No.
And how does Google do that? Google looks at, okay, well, this company's, one, they're still in business. They post to Instagram, they're on Facebook, they've updated their website, and they have 4 or 5-star reviews from real customers that are in that geographic area. And we're getting really hyper local. So when you say geographic area, Tom, this might be 2 or 3 streets over from you, i.e. your neighbors. And Google has that data, and they're using that to deliver a quality result or experience, i.e. company, directly to you. And it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Therefore,
agreed. Yeah. I'm not looking to do business with a company that's like 50 miles away. I'm sure they're great, but I just want to do that hyper local search, work with folks in my community, support the local small business there.
And as a business, we're talking about the tools and the resources. This is not hard, and it's going to be the number one thing that's going to impact your advertising and marketing, because it's going to get you better quality customers that are closer to your business at a lower cost.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So I'm curious, we've talked about some postcards, some truck wrapping, obviously how important these things can influence your search results there. I want to get back to our list of 7 hacks. So number 6, you put in here is smartphone video. What do you mean by that? Are you asking the field service technicians to get like a customer testimonial there on the fly?
Yeah, it's huge. So everything regarding marketing nowadays is
Yeah.
video. We all have, right now you have unlimited data on your phones, whether you're in the grocery store. So video is everything. The more we can integrate video into everything that we do. So just like the importance of reviews, capturing a customer review via video is hugely important. So we might get to, how we can generate a contest and motivate the guys and spiff the guys and put some money behind it. But we have a very, very simple process for any of our field service workers or our techs that are out there. If you can ever grab a customer, obviously you're going to have to use your common sense if it's a good time, but
Yeah.
get the customer somehow situated. Don't worry too much about lighting, but somehow situated in front of your van, outside. Turn your phone sideways, not this way, sideways, and say, what was your experience with us today? Then hit record, capture that in a video, and then share that with your marketing team or whoever's handling your marketing or the owner of the company. And that can then be uploaded to Instagram and YouTube and cut into video and just be hugely important, because reviews are mostly words, but if you get the video, then that helps as well. So a lot of times that's part of our integrated contest and spiffs and motivating the guys monetarily.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've kind of been hinting at that idea of the spiff, the employee contest. I was recently talking with a 6-location owner of a cleaning service in South Florida. And one of the things that she does that I thought was so cool was that when the cleaning agent is done at the house, they'll leave a card and it says, hey, if you'll go online and leave us a review and name the cleaner by name, we will tip them an additional $25. So it seemed like such a great way to encourage the review. If they had a great experience, the homeowner's not out any additional money. The employee gets that little extra bonus at the end of the day. I'd love to hear more about what you're encouraging there with those employee contests.
That is awesome. I love that idea, because everybody loves to give a tip. If you're at a restaurant or somebody cleans your car, what I mean. There's something that warms the body when you do that. And what I like about what that idea is that it doesn't cost the customer anything.
No.
And if it's positioned correctly, the way that you said it, or with the right position, the customer would write that review all day long because they want to reward that. It's brilliant. So that's a great idea that has been noted, and that is going to be integrated.
You're going to add that to the marketing checklist now.
Exactly. But yeah, having, back to, just to bring it full circle, back to the KPIs, we're going to track and measure these. And the only way to improve anything in life is to track and measure it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly.
Yeah.
And what we have found is to not only provide the latest tools and technology like the Signpost app and the resources and the website, and just make it super easy for the field service workers, the customer service representatives, and everybody to make it easy to get the review, but then throw a little dust on top, which is money always motivates these guys and gals too. So we try everything in terms of having the monthly contest, and the spin the wheel is always fun too. You can buy those wheels with the little ticker thing. Prizes on those. So I always I actually have one of them in the trunk of my car right now, the spin a wheel.
Sure.
And get somebody with good penmanship to write the prizes on there, and then whoever gets the most reviews in the company, they get to spin that wheel. And I've seen some crazy prizes like weekend getaways. But at the end of the day, cash is king. So
Yeah.
having a spiff on, the number of reviews and just setting up an employee contest, making it eligible for everybody has
Yeah.
worked really, really well in terms of doubling and tripling and quadrupling the amount of monthly reviews that clients are getting.
So we talked at the beginning about obviously like this company culture piece, right? In this contest, do you ever pit like the field service technicians against like the upper management team to see who can drive the most reviews?
Yes, because at the end of the day, everyone has that competitive spirit.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like Signpost and a lot of the other tools and resources, they have what's called a leaderboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can see who's getting the reviews, and a lot of times they're integrated into the dispatching services. So you
Sure.
can see who's sending them out, who's getting the reviews, and yeah, the more you can build in that competitive aspect. I'm a competitive guy, so I'm always going for it. And then
Yeah.
we like to razz each other in the meetings too.
All right. So don't be afraid to dish it out a little bit, huh?
Exactly, you have to.
That's it. All right. So the business owners can't sleep. Y'all got to put up reviews as well, because if you don't, the boys are going to give you a hard time. That's for sure.
That's right.
So, dude, I love it, man. These are great tips for everybody to take home. It seems like a lot of these hacks or just kind of tips are fairly simple to implement. I don't feel like we're like really reinventing the wheel. It's really just being super aware of when and how and taking advantage of those opportunities. Um, we talk about this culture processes. Is this something that we're setting the expectation from the business owner on day one that, hey, look, not only are we going to do great customer service, we're going to hit our sales goals, but this is now that metric. What does that look like as you're trying to get this done, implemented? Is it day one, or do you come in and have to really reinvent the wheel with folks?
Tom, a lot of times it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just putting the emphasis in the right area.
Yeah.
So a lot of my conversations regarding marketing is how much money did we spend last month?
Yep.
And then what do we get for that money? So the three main KPIs is how many phone calls did we get? What is our cost per phone call? And
Yeah.
then what's our conversion rate? Conversion rate, it kind of falls within my perspective, but that means like how many people did we bring into our website that picked up the phone and called us, or how
Yeah.
many people that picked up the phone turn into a booked call. A booked call is simply a person who has a need for your service in your service area that's willing to have a truck come to the driveway. So conversion rate is key. But it's not really inventing the wheel. It's putting the emphasis on, hey, if we want to spend less and get more, the number one thing we can do is create a culture that entices word of mouth or instigates word of mouth marketing. And that's
Yeah.
driven through customer reviews. And I can look at almost every single one of our hundreds of clients throughout the years, and the ones that have done a good job integrating reviews into their culture and have integrated that into a core KPI has been able to bury their competition.
That's awesome.
So it just works.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious, we're talking about obviously like the reviews, helping you to the top of the list. Do you ever encourage your clients to use like a unique number that is specifically on the GMB page where the reviews are? So then that way they say, okay, this call didn't come from my website. It came specifically from the card that's showing all of the reviews on it.
Yes. So I've been working with Service Titan, which is a software which does marketing, it does dispatching, it does
It's the full suite of field service management.
Yeah, it's the full suite.
Yeah.
So it allows you to put tracking numbers so you can see where every single call is coming in from, where the book calls are coming in from. The idea is you could be a business owner on your iPad in Tahiti, looking at, the where the call is coming in from,
Yeah.
who's answering the call. If it's turning into a booked call, the technician that's going out there, and then the money coming in. So utilizing Service Titan, we're implementing tracking numbers.
Cool.
And obviously Google Analytics. So yeah, Being a marketer, we know exactly what's working, what's not working. And as you build out your presence on Google, there's a lot of different aspects or a lot of different ways you can show up on that page, and tracking each one
Right on.
and making sure that you're spending the right amount of money in the right places. Yeah, tracking is key, Tom.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, obviously Signpost is all about trying to help people automate these processes, and we do call tracking as well. And I'm just really glad to hear that you're encouraging your clients to make sure that those Google My Business numbers are being tracked, so you can really see the impact that those local reviews are driving for you. Well, Gregg, we are just about at time here, my friend. So we've got to go ahead and start wrapping up. But I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Love talking about the online reviews. Love the hacks. For those of y'all that are watching us from home, check out growplumbing.com to learn how you can really boost your plumbing business or home services business. Gregg always wants to work with those people that are ready to take it to the next level. And we want to hear those success stories. We want you to come back and say, hey, we had a great experience. Maybe left an online review for Gregg based on the work that he did with you. And see how he can help you kind of improve those processes and fundamentals so that reviews do become part of that core culture, that core marketing process, and you go to the stratosphere, as he says.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.